passing out these letters first. When your name is called, why don't you come over here, get it from Coach Mike, and we'll go from there. So the people receiving varsity letters for the first time are Jared Aronson and Calvin Rowan. And Charlie Rowanhorst. And I'm going to say in front of everybody that if these guys don't improve and get in the gym this summer, we are in big, big trouble. So I'm confident that they're going to do that, and we're going to help inspire and motivate them to do that as much as we can without going to jail. Mason Reen also is receiving his first varsity letter. He's not here. And AJ Lutz, you get a varsity letter for the first time. All right. These are people who have varsity letters already, and they are going to receive their varsity pin. Drew Wagner. Aaron Schwab. Bryce Adams. Hey guys, I got a question. Where's Bryce? Okay. Will Davis. Elliot Flynn. Nick Hannon. Mason Reister. Carson Rowanhorst, and our manager right here, Luke Oxner, who is every bit as much a part of the team and the family as anyone else. We did not officially have captains from the beginning of the year. What we did is we kind of rotated in seniors to do the little captain thing at center court. And you could say posthumously, we named some captains. Meaning the season was over and dead, not that they were. But our captains, who are going to get captain's pins as well, were Will and Carson and Mason. So congratulations to those guys. Okay, a few words before we hand out these three pieces of hardware. I already said thank you to Luke, but Luke was a tremendous manager, would do anything. I got to write Luke, I was going to give you a letter of recommendation that I just wrote, which was from my heart and just basically said, you couldn't ask for a better team manager, you couldn't ask for a better kid to be a friend of your son, and thank you for everything you did. Okay, thank you to Carmela Trelka. Where's Carmela?
She's not here.
She's not here? Sad. Carmela videoed all of our games, and she got the scoreboard in the screen regularly, which is all I wanted, which we've had a hard time with before. So congratulations to Carmela. Thank you to Jess Aronson. Where's Jess at? Jess Aronson kept our book on the road, and Jess and I were on the same wavelength because this is a great little anecdotal thing about Jess. I think it was Tripola where the foul thing didn't work. Was it Tripola? I don't know. We were somewhere where the number, you know what I mean? Like who got the foul and how many fouls they have. And so I'd asked Jess maybe once. She understands basketball. She's easygoing, easy to work with. Even if I don't fill the book out on time, she'll scribble it out for me, and so that's very helpful. And at one point, they called a foul on the other team or on one of our guys, I don't remember. And I was getting ready to turn and ask Jess how many fouls this person had. And she was sitting there writing in her book with just 2 fingers up because she knew I was going to ask. Just 2. So Jess, thank you. And I think you're hired next year too. So. I want to thank Lynn Wheeler and Jill Harlan for scrambling to get us physical therapy stuff and ice and helping our kids when they're injured. That's always helpful. Randy, obviously, for driving the bus. Most of the time we were in the Elk. Once in a while we got to drive in the bus. Randy is also a midnight sounding board for me. Randy and I stay up late at night, and we're on the phone oftentimes after a game, kind of, he's giving me some psychological therapy in many cases. So I thank you, Randy. I want to thank all the moms that made meals for us. Tremendous. I'm telling you this right now. I don't know if the word got back or what, but the lunch game this year was through the roof good. Like a step forward, even from last year, which was great. And I think, and Christina Hannon, your bread, it's like, more of that, please. I want to thank Stacy and Angela, I believe they're co-athletic directors, is that correct? Something like that. They do a great job, especially with a guy like me who's just not into the details of this stuff and just keeping the trains running on time and making sure everything's crossed and dotted. And so thank you to you two. Lucas and Mike, I have tremendous assistant coaches, and the fact that the wheels haven't fallen off this program in the last 2 years is in large part, probably the majority part, to these guys. Lucas got stuck at work tonight, he's selling cars. And Mike, I gave him a chance to say something. He didn't want to say anything. Surprise, surprise. The bad decisions these guys talked me out of in the middle of a game. And just Mike is watching game film in his spare time like it's nobody's business. So I just show up at practice and say, what are we doing against these guys? How does this guy look on film, et cetera, et cetera. Lucas is a great X's and O's guy. And so between the three of us, we've got it covered very well, and I would be totally lost without them. I said this last year, I'll say it again. When Mike showed interest in doing this, he was 18 years old still, maybe 19, just 19. And I kind of thought, okay, I mean, I don't know him that well, and I don't know how this is gonna go. I'm thinking like a freshman in college. I mean, you can imagine what those guys are typically like, right? And I kind of thought that we were going to be doing him a favor by letting him come and be with our team, but we quickly learned that we have been the major benefactors of Mike being around, and as long as I said I wouldn't even consider doing this again if Mike wouldn't. So thank you, Mike. Good work. Our goal, we had some, I think, very reasonable goals on the floor this season. We wanted to win no less than 15 games. We wanted to be no worse than a 3 seed in districts. We won 10 games. We were a 6 seed. And we thought that 3rd place in the conference should be a lock. I mean, that was just, there was no question that was going to happen. And then Carson's knee got blown out in a freak accident that really, honestly, if you step back from it, you can only attribute to the Lord allowing it to happen for some reason that we can't understand. And that was devastating for him. That was devastating for us, not just in an emotional sense because one of our brothers went down, but in a basketball sense. Carson's the best defender in the conference when he's healthy. And the way he handled it was unbelievable. I mean, we said many times that Carson handled this better than most of us adults would handle something like that. And so just very impressed with his maturity that he showed through that. For that reason, Carson's going to receive the Leadership Award this year. We fell way short of our goals. And so in a sense, and it's not like, we got this quote on the locker room wall. It's by Tony Bennett. And you've heard me say it before maybe, but he said after he won the national championship coaching for Virginia, the year after he got beat out of the tournament in the first round by a 16 seed as a 1 seed, the first time that had ever happened in the NCAA tournament, they asked him if this is the greatest moment in his life. And he said, you know, from a coaching standpoint, it's exciting, but he used a quote from his dad which says, because I know what truly matters, Tony Bennett's a Christian, walks with Christ, because I know what truly matters, it enables me to enjoy what seems to matter like this. So that quote is a mantra for us. So when things are really great, because we know what truly matters, it enables us to enjoy what seems to matter. And when things are really not great, it enables us not to just be totally distraught because our anchor is in the rock and we're fine. And so that was a mantra. And so when I say that it was a disappointing season in a wins and losses sense, we're not depressed, all is not lost, but it was disappointing. We started off 1-7. That was what we started off last year. We never in our wildest dreams would have imagined that we would dig ourselves that hole. The way that it happened, Morningstar fell off of our schedule before Christmas. The Clarksville game got canceled or postponed until after Christmas. We got a win against West Central coming right out of the gate. We're 1-0, but then those 2 games, which would have definitely been wins, fell off the schedule. And so now we're looking for a win. We had a chance against Don Bosco. Drew had to miss that game because he was injured. And so we just couldn't quite get out of the hole mentally. And we lost those first 8 games. We lost 2 games by 2 points at the end of the game, and 1 game by 4 points. And so we're in a 1-7 hole. We knew that we were going to have to kick it into gear over Christmas break. We had some great practices over Christmas break. We knew that AJ and Elliott were going to be joining us January 17th, and so that was a little bit of kind of incentive and excitement about what was to come, and we did turn it around. We finished the season 10-12, and so we finished the season 9-5, and honestly, we're not terribly happy about that because there's a couple losses. Central Elkader ended up bailing, so that's another game we would have won. We didn't get that win, and we lost that game at Nashville Plainfield that we probably shouldn't have. But anyway, woulda, coulda, shoulda. We had a retreat at the beginning of the year, and the 3 points on the retreat were to play with the end in mind, know your role, and stick to the game plan. And we applied those principles to spiritual truths for life. And my hope and my prayer, and we came back to it over and over throughout the season, is that stuck with these guys. People ask me, was this season a success? And my answer is always, in an X's and O's, wins and losses sense, no, it wasn't. In a spiritual sense, in a developing men's sense, I would say, talk to me in 20 years. I don't know yet. I think. I'm encouraged by what I saw, but let's see where these guys go if they stay on the trajectory that they're on. A couple more awards to hand out. Our MVP was first team all conference, and he was not unanimous selection, which is an insult. He should have been unanimous selection, and I hope that is a chip on his shoulder all off season long. He was honorable mention for the all Metro team. There was a lot of talent in the Metro, so I suppose maybe you shouldn't take that as an insult, but for the sake of motivation, why don't you take that as an insult as well? Drew Wagner. I'll just say a couple other things. Aaron was nominated for second team all conference, and he should have gotten it. He only received 3 votes. I think he needed at least 4. That is an insult, and Aaron should take that personally because Aaron was a second team all conference player without question, and so give him a hand as if he would have been. Elliott was honorable mention all conference, and Elliott, congratulations to you for that. Most improved player. I've got a philosophy about coaching your kid. The most improved player is Mason. The philosophy about coaching your kid is, if you can't get it exactly right in terms of fair treatment, which you can't, then you better err on the side of it being harder for him because he's the coach's son than easier for him. And I think that was certainly the case for Mason. I think last year in particular, he got cheated out of some opportunities because I think I had a higher standard for my own son than I did for some of the other guys. That just is what it is. And you know what? When the ballots are counted and the scales are balanced, I'd rather be on that side of the scale than on the other side, greasing the skids for my kid. Mason was motivated probably in part because of how I failed at that to a small degree last year. This kid was in the gym all summer long, all the time. And what I'm going to tell parents, we have a parents meeting for the returning team next year in the gym after this. What I'm going to tell them, and if you're here, you'll hear it again, is just putting time in the gym isn't enough. In order to get better, you do have to put time in the gym, but you can put all kinds of time in the gym and still not get that much better. Mason got better. It also helped that he grew 3 or 5 or 6 inches. And And he came back and he was second on our team in rebounds. He led our team in assists. He was our fourth leading scorer. And it has been the joy of my life to coach this guy. I'm going to miss him on the floor. Maybe we'll get him back on the sideline. I don't know. But without question, a lot of guys improved over the season, from the end of last season to the end of this season. None more than this guy. He totally earned it. Proud of you. Congratulations. I want to read one more thing. And I haven't read this since I heard it at Christmas. And so hopefully I can do this. Our family, my mom started this tradition at Christmas. We all write a thing before we open presents called What Christmas Means to Me. And it's annoying because it delays getting to the presents, right? The kids hate it, but they kind of oblige. And usually Mason just mails it in like, yeah, blah, 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 let's get on with it. This year he had something profound to say. And the reason I'm closing it with this isn't to point to Mason so much as to say, I hope that this is the overriding fruit of this basketball season. Christmas this year has been fun and full of things that Mom planned for us and the family to do, such as gingerbread houses, looking at lights, watching Christmas movies, and doing 12 days of Christmas activities, even though the 12 days of Christmas don't technically start until after Christmas. Despite the fun Christmas activities that we have done as a family, the thing that has dominated my mind over Christmas break is being 1-7 through the first 8 basketball games of the season. And let me just say this, if you're going to be the most improved player, if you're going to improve guys over the summer, you have got to hate losing. You have got to hate losing, and this kid hates losing. More than me, which is astonishing. After working hard through the summer with the team and on my own, myself and the team anticipated a significantly better start than 1-7. Naturally, my mind has drifted toward what I will do after basketball season and what I will do for the rest of my life, which is something I've never thought seriously about before. While I would much rather be 8-0 and the number one team in the state, I've thought about the rest of my life much more than I otherwise would have, which is a blessing in disguise. I care about basketball much less than 3 months ago Mason did. I think I cared too much about basketball and not nearly enough about growing my relationship with God and helping my friends grow their relationship with God. Part of the reason I care so much less is the fact that we're 1-7 in my senior year, and I'm beginning to realize that basketball won't last forever. And another part is God is working in me, maturing me, and aligning my desires with His Word and His will for me. Don't get me wrong, Coach Matt. The desire to win has not fled my body. I'm confident in our team after January 17th, and I think we can make a legitimate run in districts. But I have to have something deeper than basketball, because 2 months from now, basketball will be over and the rest of my life is going to have to start. Being 1-7 has grown my relationship with God and has grown me as a man much more than being 8-0 would have. Bottom line is basketball has been a huge part of my life, something I've enjoyed almost more than anything. It's been a huge blessing to be able to play the sport through high school and build friendships through the sport. Merry Christmas to everybody. Don't forget how important it is to prioritize Jesus at every time of year, and not only Christmas, and in every aspect of life, even basketball. I mean, that's well said. That's all we've got for the boys basketball team. And hey, listen, I'm telling you this, parents, you're going to hear this in the meeting afterwards, but just a precursor for those who won't be here. Our game's going to have to be totally different. and we're actually going to shoot some 3-pointers that these guys can show that they can make them. So that'll be fun.